Welcome to ComputerWorks. This is Papa Ray Hines, and I hope you enjoy this session on learning a little bit about Excel data and Excel tables. Excel data is just a range of rows and columns of figures, but we'll take a look at that in just a moment. And an Excel table offers an enhanced ability for you to do multiple calculations. So we want to look at converting an Excel data range, or just a range, to an Excel table. And you might say, well, what's the difference? And there is a little difference here that's very helpful to you. A data range is any group of selected cells. You just put it in a spreadsheet. Even non-contiguous cells could be named into and be called a data range, or a single cell. But for example, we'll say the range from A1 to D18, it would be 18 rows, 4 columns, and it would represent a rectangular range of data. Other cells can benefit from data in a range, but there are certain limits. And so let's consider converting our data range into a data table. An Excel table is a structured set of rows and columns that comes with some additional features. They're pre-formatted, pre-organized for your use. If necessary, a table can be converted back to a range for additional benefits quite easily. Many times a table can glean extraordinary results without heroic or unneeded manipulation of data. That means if you convert it to a table, you can extract data quickly rather than hard. Let's take a look at my sample table here. Now what we have here is someone's attempt to use a data table, a data range, I beg your pardon, a data range, and that's great, and then calculate some numbers. And so you can see this range here, pulled up those numbers there. 33,000 is a total revenue for that one line entry. And you can see for this this company, they gave me 2 orders. My most prolific company was number 4. It gave me 10 orders over that period of time, and we'll check more into that. First thing I'm going to do is delete that, because that's calculation. That was very simple, but we're going to do a little bit differently when we get it to a table. Second thing I'm going to do is I would like to convert this maybe to a customer ID. And I'm going to say customer space ID, simply because a customer ID is more descriptive. And what if you had 1,000 customers? That would be a little different. And so order ID is fine. You can do product ID, but you don't need it. It's not the product ID, it's the product description. And so units sold, date, well, that date is fine. Revenue, let's just say revenue, come up here and make a change. If I could spell. And finally, let's change this cost to, our cost to just simply cost. That's what it cost us. Now I would rather probably switch the columns, but I'll leave it just like this. Secondly though, look at this date. This date is not even formatted correctly, so I'm going to come down and format it and go over here where I can. This is still in a data range, and format the cells and change that maybe into a date of hey, month, day, and year. I'll do that, month, day, and year, and that's a lot better. Thirdly, I'm going to take all of these and maybe center them. And so I can come up here and center them. And this is all formatting that can be done before or after. What if, though, you wanted to make this into a data table instead of a data range? It would be quite easy and very helpful. I'm first going to make all the intermediate columns that are blank go away. So I'm going to right-click and delete that column. And I'm going to come down here and click and then control click all the empty columns, and then right click on one of the green columns and hit delete. So I've compressed the table into something really nicely. I don't like the way this revenue and cost is showing me. I want to convert that to numeric data, currency data, and so I can format that and go over here and format the cells. I guess I could have done it easier up here with cells, but I'm going to say, okay, format this into currency and change that to, whoops, can't go, and 0. Now before I do that, look at this, 10588.9. Well, that's going to be rounded, and so is this one, 10993.1, and that's going to be rounded. So as soon as I hit OK, it's no longer 9.3, it's dropped the 1, and this one down here raised the 8.8 to 8.9 because it was 88.9. So anyway, I've got nice looking data now, and so I'm ready to convert this to a table. Two easy ways. You can convert it to a table by hitting Insert Table. But if I do, it's going to caution me and say, are you sure this is L20? Well, that's where my cursor ended up. That's not good. I'm going to cancel that. I did that for demonstration purposes, of course, and I'm going to put my cursor anywhere in the contiguous table. And now I'm going to try it again. I'm going to hit Table, Insert, and it's going to say A1 to G33. I like that, but I'm going to do it the second way. One way is to put it up here and insert the table. Another way, however, is Control T, and that's a shortcut. Control T, it does the exact same thing. It says A1 to G33, is that where you want to go? And I'll say yes, and so it's bingo, it inserted my table. If I click away, you can see the nice table. I think I'm going to make this a little larger for us to see, and maybe not that large because I need some rows here at the bottom. But here is my table now. It's become a table. It's no longer a data set. I can send it back to a data set. Let me show you how. I can go back up here. Well, I have to put my cursor inside. Notice if your cursor's outside, this doesn't show. But if I put my cursor anywhere in the table, it says design your table. Well, you can come over here and design your table in many different ways. You can change it to green. Green is nice. And any other color you'd like. Some of these colors are quite garish. I don't know if that one's too garish, but I like the blue. We'll keep the blue, or maybe even light blue, which is, I think, what we had to begin with. So we'll get back to that. That's nice. You can design your table any way you like. Well, I don't think they sell a half a cookie, do they? So I think I need to take this half a cookie and partial halves of cookies because of the way the units are sold, I guess, and convert that format and make these cookies format cells. And let's do currency, a number, general, but a number with no decimal places, because we're not going to sell half cookies. And so that's a little better. Units sold, that's a number of, maybe they originally had it as number of carts or cases or half a case or something like that. Don't know. But we can see now we've got all sorts of things we can deal with. There are two things in taking this data to another level. You can filter the data, and that means get rid of, and that's also called selecting. And we have filter arrows. Each one of these columns has a filter arrow. So let's just look at company number 4. So I'm going to filter every other company away, and I'm going to say don't select all, but select company number 4 and show me. And so there's company number 4, and it bought a lot. It was our most prolific. Remember, it had 10, I think, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 purchases. And look, it bought $10,000 worth of white macadamia nuts twice. And this was back in April of 2020, and then in July of 2020. It's doing really well with macadamia nut cookies, and then later on again, you can see that. Very, very powerful. With each different order ID. Okay, I see. This is order ID, so it continued to buy lots of white macadamia nut cookies. And so let's just look at that. Let's say I only want the white macadamia nut cookies from this company. And so I have white macadamia cookies. It bought 6 orders at different times during the year of white macadamia nut cookies. Is that powerful or what? Well, what's the cost they paid? What's the cost to us? And more relevant, what is the revenue that we got from those white macadamia nut cookies? Well, one thing you can do with your cursor inside here is do Control-Shift-T, and it gives us a total line. And it just assumed the last one is what you wanted, but you don't have to have that one. And so let's click on that, and it gives us another filter arrow. The filter arrow says, I didn't want that. But remember, $51,000, that's a lot of money to spend on cookies. Let's see what it made our company, or what they had to pay for it. And let's do a total sum, if I can figure it out. So they spent $111,318 just on white macadamia cookies, and that's just the 1-4 company. So we could change that and say, I don't want that company. Let's take a look at company number 1 instead of number 4, and let's see. They only bought 2 and they spent $33,000. Well, that sounds pretty good though. $33,000 worth of cookies in 2 months, 2 different months, but they were a year apart. So you can see the power of this, and you can manipulate this data, and then you say, well, I don't need that. There are several ways to do that. You can clear it, and let's do that. See the little tick marks that are next to the filter arrow. If you click on that, you can say, clear that filter, or stop filtering that way. And then you come over here and say, okay, clear that filter, and everything is back. And you can say over here, I don't want that anymore. Let's say none. Don't give me any calculations. Or you could say, give me an average. And the average cookie purchase out of all these is 18,000, which ranges from 15 to all the way up to 23,000. Very, very powerful information. You can sort, you can select, you can use functions. And so let's do a function. Let's do functions. And let's see let's don't do the average anymore. Let's say, count, and we'll see what we've got. It's 32. So that doesn't make much sense, but especially with the $ formatting that. The $ was used to format the actual number. But the count means there are 32 different entries, and of course there are. There's number 1, which is not used. Row number 1 is a header row, and then 33. So there's 32 different entries in this table, even though it's formatted for $signs. Well, I hope this starts to give you some information about changing your data range into a table that can manipulate the data a lot better. Okay, let's talk about how to put this back. What if I'm through with this? I've gotten my information. How do I put this information back? Well, you can simply not save it, or you could come back over here and reformat it. I like the formatting, but I'm going to change it back. I'm going to go to table design, and then I can go to normal. And let's go up here to the top here and click on that, and it is totally back to the way it was, except I still have these things changed to a better meaning heading line. But I still have the formatting table, the formatting arrows, and that denotes to me that this is still a table. So let's get rid of this row that we don't need anymore, and now let's convert this back to a table. The way you do that is select the table, and in the table design you convert back to a range. Do you want to convert it? Yes. Now at some point we're going to enhance this with slicers, and then we're going to move on to pivot tables. But this is a powerful, powerful tool for us to use. So thank you for listening. I hope this has brought you some information that is quite helpful, and we'll see you next time. Please come to my YouTube channel at Ray Hines. Thank you very much.